Who today can look over a sound or marsh and not thrill to the beauty of wildlife that wings its way across the skies? And whose heart doesn't skip a beat when he sees the inhabitants in their pursuit of living? Some folks think the fields and woods are lonesome places and are afraid of the things they cannot see or understand. The vibrant pulse of life is everywhere in every form. Sometimes we are asked to put a value on our wildlife. Now, of what value is a flock of wild mallards? Perhaps we cannot judge them by weight alone or by volume, for each has a separate life system not always based on man's evaluation. We might as well talk of the value of a sunset or of the freshness of the air. Yet we must realize that in the endless cycle of life, each is but a minute part, and that each is a link in the chain that binds together all living things on the earth. Each is dependent on the other to provide nourishment or protection and maintain the continuity of life for the next in line. With such interdependency, individuals are expendable, but as a species, essential. The predator and his prey are each a part of the food cycle. Being held responsible as custodian of these vast and varied forms of life, man has a role that must be one of understanding. He is a protector and guardian, for what happens ultimately affects him. If the tadpole or the dragonfly or the water bug cannot survive in the water, can it be fit for man to drink? These small creatures are the indicators, the foundations upon which man's life is fashioned and its quality determined. It's as a great philosopher of our time reminds us, crush a flower, and somewhere a star trembles. The richness of the soil and the cleanness of the air determine their quality. Man is part of the system, benefiting from all. His food is from the deep fertility of the earth, from the fish and the fowl. Animals cannot survive unless the air, water, and earth are kept hospitable. But we have not always understood these interrelationships. All who saw the beauty of the land also saw a cloud on the horizon. By the early 1900s, the wildlife seemed to disappear. The birds and the fish were being slaughtered. It was the U.S. Army and the commercial hunter who had destroyed the buffalo in order to subdue the Indian. It was the market hunters who profited from the ducks and geese and other waterfowl, and who sold the passenger pigeons by the barrel. Such destruction was seen and halted, but still, something was wrong. Man somewhere along the way began to mistake uncontrolled growth for progress. Strip mines laid waste to the land, and pollution of all kinds drained into our streams. Abandoned junk began to litter the roadsides and invade the rivers. Detergents and waste fouled our water. Drag lines channelized and drained our rivers and swamps. Air pollution turned fertile soils into deserts, and smog filled the air. Wildlife, the barometer of our own life, succumbed. Something was terribly wrong. Could man survive if wildlife could not? Yet we had an insatiable demand for more power, so we built more dams. We continued to tear up the land and through overharvest make the forest bare dead places. We were following false goals. Was this to be the end of wildlife? We were failing to leave any seed for tomorrow. It was in 1945 that concerned and angry hunters and fishermen confronted the North Carolina General Assembly, demanding reforms and a voice in future decisions. The United Sportsmen were successful, banding together the divergent groups throughout the state under strong, aggressive leadership to form the North Carolina Wildlife Federation. Memberships have grown from a few hundred individuals until today its members number in excess of 20,000. It has added its strength to that of the largest conservation organization in the world, the National Wildlife Federation, which boasts a membership of more than 2.5 million, including the support of many who do not even hunt or fish. Individual clubs and organizations, aware of the increased pressure on our natural resources, united, with each club electing a representative as a spokesman. Each representative has a vote in selecting a director from his district, who sits on the Federation Board of Directors without pay, volunteering his services. A four-man executive board directs the efforts of the executive vice president. He in turn keeps legislative and political leaders aware of the sportsman, the conservationist, the nature lover, and through the publication Friend of Wildlife, keeps the membership informed of what is happening in the political world and to the environmental quality of this and other states. Every year, the North Carolina Wildlife Federation invites outstanding international leaders, such as the former Secretary of the Interior, Stuart Udall, to meet and confer, exchanging ideas and information. Widely recognized as a conservation leader was the late Turner Battle, the single most cohesive force in the Federation's long history. During its annual convention, conservation scholarships are awarded to outstanding youth, but one phase of the Federation's many educational activities, which also include the McLamrock Lecture Program and the INSCO Film Library. Environmental achievement is recognized in various fields ranging from 4-H, Boy Scouts, FFA, wildlife protection, education, communications, to water, air, land, and forestry conservation. The climax of the awards program is the Governor's Award to the Conservationist of the Year, presented to the citizen most outstanding in the cause of conservation. This is an important opportunity for the sportsmen, who are the backbone of conservation in North Carolina and the whole United States, to meet and carry forward urgent matters of the environment. The North Carolina Wildlife Federation is dedicated to making the state a better place in which to live and is making some progress. Through its active membership, it has provided the incentive and leadership on dozens of major issues, not only being credited with such outstanding separate legislative acts as the creation of the Wildlife Resources Commission, control of the misuse of pesticides, the formation of the Board of Water and Air Resources, now the Office of Environmental Management, the protection of endangered species, the establishment of national parks and national wildlife refuges, the opening of new land for public hunting, recognizing the rights of landowners and sportsmen, besides contributing to and participating in national conservation programs. Today, the North Carolina Wildlife Federation is setting the example for the nation in protecting the streams and rivers from destructive excesses and channelization. Today, whether there are bass fishermen, target shooters, hunters of the deer or the turkey, or watchers of birds, by working together, members of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation are taking the lead in keeping North Carolina a decent place to live, be it resident birds and animals or resident people. As Henry Thoreau said several generations ago, what's the use of a house if you don't have a decent planet to put it on? Thou shalt inherit the holy earth as a faithful steward. conserving its resources and productivity from generation to generation. Thou shalt safeguard thy fields from soil erosion, thy living waters from drying up, thy forests from desolation, and protect thy hills from overgrazing by the herds, that thy descendants may have abundance forever. If any shall fail in the stewardship of the land, thy fruitful field shall become sterile stony ground or wasting gullies, and thy descendants shall decrease and live in poverty or perish from off the face of the earth.